Hello, hello, hello. Good morning, Rosebuds. It's another episode of the Rose Mosley Show. Thank you for your continued support and watching always. And my focus is to bring you the information that you need about real estate, community development, and of course, networking with other professionals to grow your lifestyle, your business, or support your endeavors. So today's episode is going to be very, very awesome. We're going to have a special guest that focuses on small business development. We're going to talk about a new RFQ that's put out by the city of Newark regarding sheltering for our homeless. And we're going to also discuss a little bit about land banking, the VMAs, and more. So thanks again for tuning in this morning. What I want to do is just, give you guys a brief introduction. My guest today, I've known him for quite some time now. And actually, we both started out because we were pursuing an endeavor to create a Black-owned credit union in Essex County. And so from that endeavor and that initiative that we combined on, it just grew into a phenomenal relationship with business coaching, mentoring, and just, a good all-round support system. So today's guest I would like to introduce is Andrew Frazier. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Great, Rose. Thanks for having me. Excited about finally getting a chance to be
Yes.
on the Rose Mosley Show.
Yes.
I've always wanted to do this all my life, and finally I have a shot.
Well, thank you for that. That's so awesome. You and I go way back. Again, like I started out, we started out with an endeavor of the credit union and such. And that was pretty interesting. It takes years to do something like that, and you need a strong team, but it brought us together. And in that, we met multiple other people that we still have great relationships with. But one of the main things I wanted to have you on today's show was to really focus on how diverse you are and let everyone know, as much as you can about what your services are and how impactful they are. I mean, you've helped me a few times over the years, and again, we've created this awesome friendship as a result. So one of the things I want to start off, and we can move backwards, but I want to start off with your book. Everyone, I want you to understand that this is an amazing book. It's called Running Your Small Business Like a Pro. The more you know, the faster you grow. And Mr. Frazier, Andrew, is, focused on financial coaching, consulting and training, financial management, business strategy. He helps people grow revenues, increase profits, and obtain financing. So over to you, Mr. Frazier. Let's hear about you and everything you got going on.
Okay. Thanks, Rose. Definitely, my book was a labor of love. Having worked full-time as a coach, consultant, and trainer for entrepreneurs and small business owners, I've learned a whole lot through the process. You see there's many different challenges, but there's similarities. So I wanted to share this in a format that anyone seeking to start a business or anyone that has a business can use it to increase their level of knowledge about business and run it more professionally so that they can become more successful.
Yeah, that's very important. A lot of people have natural talent, and a lot of people have the ambition. But I tell people all the time, you got to have the technical part. You got to know the professionalism, terminology. You have to have the paperwork and such. So Andrew is an awesome person with that. I mean, getting small businesses financing is like the number one thing that most small businesses need to grow, correct? So, with Andrew's expertise, he's been able to do that for multiple businesses right here in New Jersey and abroad, right? Pennsylvania. I know you're also done some things in New York. So tell us a little bit about your background and how you kind of got into this industry.
Okay, great. I've diverse background. Actually started out with my first business, was a paper boy in fourth grade, along with my brother. So got a little taste of business early on, and actually my mother spent time as a real estate agent and also as an insurance agent. So I got a chance to see those businesses and help her out when I was young too. Mm-hmm. Was very good in math and science, so actually went to college at and studied mechanical engineering at MIT. So I had a great education and learning and understanding of how to do analysis, which is key in business. A lot of people don't do the numbers, and the numbers really tell you more about your business than anything else can.
Absolutely, absolutely. Same for real estate. I think that's what is so important. Numbers tell the business at all the time. Numbers tell, how well you're doing, how your cash is flowing, how valuable your business is, really, and, your weakest parts and your strengths as well. So tell us a little bit about the book as a whole. What is the inspiration behind it? How long did it take you to get it done? The whole nine, and all the places you've been to tour this book.
Okay, excellent. So, it took me 5 years to do it. So it's your first book is very difficult.
Yeah.
But what I've found is now that I've written one, it's a lot easier. So I've actually have a draft of my next book.
Awesome.
That I'm putting together, and it's based on one of the chapters in here. This book is, the first half of the book is really focused on, what you don't know can hurt you. So it really shares a lot of key things that small business owners need to know so that, they can, learn more, do better, and keep from losing money on things that they don't need to lose money on.
Right.
So the first part is sort of a little bit of knowledge and information and expertise in different areas, including marketing, finance, operations, managing people, retirement, all the different aspects of business. And then the second half, one of the great things I found by doing the book was I really figured out the key to creating a successful business that can run without you, that's sustainable. And I don't think anyone's really been able to articulate that in the way that I have. And it's easier than it seems,
right.
or at least understanding what it is easier than it seems.
Right.
Actually implementing it is extremely difficult. But it's really three. Basically, there's three key elements of the path to create a sustainable business.
Okay.
The first one is that you work in your business. So you're working in your business, you got to develop your product or your services, you got to create a market. So early on, you got to work in your business to really make it work. But you can't continue to work in your business if it's going to grow.
Right.
So, the key is to be able to transition to working on your business so that instead of working within your business all the time, you're working on improving your business. So first you develop your business, you have to shift to improving your business, improving in terms of optimizing, putting in policies, procedures, building capacity. Unfortunately, over 95% of business owners do not ever make it from stage one to stage two.
Yes.
So, if you liken stage one, it's sort of like being an employee or a supervisor. So you're employer supervisor within your business.
Right.
And then you become a manager within your business. So it's a transition, and those are different skills and expertise. So a lot of people have trouble making that transition.
Right. Because, and I know with myself as a, I guess at this point in my life, I'm a multiple small business owner. I mean, I'm going crazy with one business, and now I'm up to like 4 businesses, guys. Actually, I have 5 businesses, so it's insane. However, that was one of the struggles that I had, which you aided me with, to get out of my own way. And by getting out of my own way, it allowed me to kind of ascend from running the business to overlooking or overseeing the business to guide it to the next level. And those were some things that were super imperative at the times that we met, because it allowed me to kind of set things up, let them have a process, have a process and then move on to grow onto other things and spin off businesses or spin off endeavors. So, the tools over the years that you've provided me, for nothing to be summarized in one book, you guys are in for a really exciting treat. Our businesses are our babies. And as a result, like anything, like any baby, you want to hold it. It's funny because I had a conversation with a client yesterday. She's from New York and she's looking to move into the Essex County area. And she's like, oh, my kids. So I'm like, okay, cool. I was like, well, how old are your kids? She's like 19 and 20. I was like, they're not kids anymore, right? I'm like, they might be your children forever, but that they're not kids anymore. And we just laughed so deeply about it. But that's how we feel as business owners as well. We tend to feel like no one can do it like us, or people are going to mess up the process, or, a process that we may not even be able to, like you said, articulate, And it's so funny how business owners, sometimes we can put so many expectations on people that don't share the same vision as us. And we can also give responsibilities or mismanage responsibilities to staff or affiliates. And, and those are the things that we need to work on, how to be better managers, how to be better people that allow other people a try, If we're micromanaging and have our hands on everything, we're never going to get anything done, because you spend half of the time trying to teach a person how to do it and then running them through it to do it. And then all the while you decide you could have either done it yourself or choose to trust the person, right or wrong, right? And sometimes the beauty in all of this in business and development growth is really just about trusting the process, whatever that process is. I feel that your book is a great manual for businesses to grow, in lieu of all of the economic development that is coming into specifically Essex County, other cities and other counties as well, but in Essex County specifically, we're in a position that we have a golden opportunity to save ourselves in a way. And I say that term very loosely, but, we have an opportunity to save ourselves through, obviously, real estate, but through small business development and support, with all the vacant buildings, with all the vacant storefronts, with all the shared networking spaces that are going on. There's a niche for every single business right now to thrive, specifically in Essex County, because the population, you got 300,000 residents. You have people that are consumers. You have people with disposable income, contrary to belief. We spend our money emotionally, right or wrong. Definitely. So if we tie ourselves more emotional to businesses that are growing in our community, that could be some of the solution to a lot of the things that we're experiencing, a lot of the joblessness, right? Isn't it a beautiful thing to watch a small business develop, to be able to go from offering 5 jobs to 50 jobs, right? Because we're at this day and age where jobs are not running to our communities. Jobs are not, or the jobs that are may not be a job that you would enjoy for your skill set and may be more laborious. So growing our own community through small business development really aids the entire process. We need buildings fixed up, and I preach about that all the time. But we also need thriving businesses and thriving business owners to come into the community to kind of absorb some of the missing income in our community. So the better they do, the better our community can do through employment, right or wrong, right?
Definitely.
And, one of the things that I always talk about as well when I'm talking about business and such, and over at least the last 20 years, you can relate with me with this, we did not have technology. We did not have GPS. We did not have YouTube. We did not have social media. I know when I started out, and imagine doing real estate without any social media, no map, no GPS, no cell phone. I think the first cell phone was like the little gray one or the big box one that you put in your console of the car. I mean, we're going way back, guys. But I only say this to say, with technology at our fingertips, social media platforms at our fingertips, and growing your business is a lot easier now than it ever was before. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, there's more tools, more options. You can do a lot more as an individual. A lot of things you can do with that you could have never done before. Like right. A lot of people are self-publishing now. Previously, the cost to publish something was very high, and you had to go through a publisher, just like in the music business. So you have a lot of opportunities. The key is being able to take advantage of them. And one of the things that in our community, a lot of our businesses never grow because your business can only grow as far as the business owner is prepared to take it.
Yep.
So if the business owner is stuck working in their business, they're never going to be working on their business. And you have to work on your business to be able to grow your business.
Absolutely.
And that's when you start to really be able to hire people. You start to be able to provide to a wider audience. And from there, the last stage is working on the future of your business. So you've got to, your role goes from managing to really being a leader of managers.
Right.
And that's a whole different skill set. So maybe, less than 5% of businesses go from stage 2 to stage 3. So, if you put it together, 5 businesses out of 100 make it from stage 1 to stage 2.
Yeah.
And 20 businesses out of 10,000 make it all the way to stage 3. So, part of what my book is about is helping to improve those odds, because a big piece of it is not knowing what to do, not knowing how to do it, not having the knowledge to do it. And what I've laid out here in a way that anybody can understand is the key path of how to do that, as well as a process of how you want to move along the path.
Exactly. And that, again, guys, this is so important. I was fortunate enough to go to a commercial real estate forum for women in New York City. And one of the things that I took away from that event was some of the panelists, obviously, you started from the ground up, you're working hard, you're working smarter. We mentioned leverage, you leverage opportunities, you're leveraging things. But one of the main things that I took away from that forum was very, very simple. This one woman spoke about her business. She knew what she was anticipating for 2020. She knew what she could anticipate for 2021. She knew what she was anticipating for 2022, all the way to 2025. And I was blown away by that. I think I'm a great planner, and I'm pretty good with at least a year, maybe a year and a half in advance. That woman blew me away with the amount of knowledge that she knew about her business, the forecasting of her business for a future of 5 years. I took that away because that showed me. Now, mind you, this was a commercial real estate forum. And would you guys agree that in real estate, nothing is guaranteed? The market could go up and down, and there's so many variables that affect the residential market, let alone the commercial market. And for that woman to have such a definitive vision for 5 years out, whether it was going to happen or not. Now, mind you, her projections are based on what she has done, what she's currently doing, and what she wants to do. So it wasn't just pie in the sky data. Now, whether she achieves them or not, that's a part of the business, right? However, the fact that she even had a 5-year foresight of what her revenues were going to be, how many transactions, how much square footage she was going to be responsible for, I was totally blown away. So I share that to you guys as well, because behind the scenes today, Andrew and I were discussing about 2020 is right around the corner. And for a lot of us, 2020 is like a futuristic year, right? Just because it's 2020. So what I would like to challenge everyone is to really, take this last quarter of the year and really try to push yourself to see where you're going to be next quarter of 2020, and maybe even beyond. And I'm sure and certain with the tools like Andrew's book and contacting him directly, which will drop his contact information because he does the consulting, coaching, and training. So I strongly recommend that if you're following the show and you want a different 2020, 2021, or 2022 for your business, start today. Contact the professionals today. I did not get where I am by myself. There were tons of people that, I reached out to over my years. Maybe not so much in the beginning. I had to learn, you learn through the burn, but at the same token, as you grow and as your energy is to get more knowledge and information, the universe, God has a funny way of bringing those persons and those environments around you. So being positive and pushing forward. So I really challenge you guys to attempt to call your revenues for 2020. Put it on paper, put it in writing. The power of writing is so important. That's one of the things that I would have to say is the key to my success, is that I write everything down, from calendaring, from cash flow, the whole nine. And it may not be the technical way of an Excel or QuickBooks or anything like that, because trainings and things have to come with Excel and QuickBooks if you're not that business savvy or have those skill sets. But hey, guess what, guys? Notebooks are about to be 10 cents a notebook at back to school sale. And then, packs of pens, 10 pens are about to be $1.50. Back to school time is the great time for business owners to get folders, notebooks, and all of some business supplies as well to really strategize and sketch out what you want to see for yourself, whether you're just starting, whether you are an experienced business owner, or whether you're just someone that wants to take your business to another level completely or go in a different direction. Now is the time to start, guys. So I totally encourage you on that. So getting back to Andrew, Andrew, what are some tips that you could also provide our viewers for 2020 and beyond?
Okay, well, Rose, you made the key point. You have to plan. Too many of us don't plan and are reactive rather than proactive. Mm-hmm. And actually in my book, what I call it is winging it. Too many of us are out there winging it. And that doesn't work real well. If you're going to attain the success that you can and deserve, you have to plan and prepare for it. So that's a key point. And the other point is, you have to prepare years in advance. Most corporations have a 5-year plan, and every year they update it. I have a 3-year plan of kind of where I am, where I'm going, what I want to do, and you should have one as well. And the more detail, the better it is, because that helps you. That basically creates the path, so you know what things to say yes to, you know what things to say no to, mm-hmm. and you can move forward. So, my plan for this year was really focused on finishing my book, starting to market my book, developing additional products, and building a regional presence. So I've done events in New York, I've done events in Pittsburgh, and doing something in Philly later this year. I've had book signing in Baltimore. I've spoken in DC as well. Mm-hmm. So this year, focus on developing products.
You've been busy, needless to say.
Getting regional. But next year, my goal is to expand nationally and have a national presence. You'll have additional products and services, and I'll be doing speaking and other engagements. And then the year after that, it's looking for international experience. International exposure and expansion. So, having that plan, knowing where I'm going, not just knowing where I'm going, but knowing how I'm going to do it. I finished my book, but I ended up creating a Kindle version of the book.
Awesome. When is that going to be available?
Actually, that's available already. It's been available for a few months. In the next 2 weeks, I'm going to have an audio version of my book available on audible.com. It's already finished and uploaded, so they're just waiting for them to approve it.
That's awesome. That's super awesome.
So, and then in the fall, I've got a Spanish language version. It's being translated right now, so that's going to come out. Mm-hmm. And then, like I mentioned before, I already have a draft of my next book, and I expect that to come out before the end of the year. So, having a plan, knowing what you want to do, allows you to focus and accomplish it.
That's so awesome. I mean, because very truly, business fundamentals transcend universally. There's always a product to be sold, and there's always someone going to buy it. That's what we're talking about with business. Now, the products change, of course, and your business strategy and marketing will always change. But I'm telling you, commerce and sales and all these things with businesses is universal and probably super ancient. This is how civilizations were built with trade and commerce, and word of mouth, right? Because if we're talking about historically, there weren't cell phones, there weren't social media, there weren't any of that. It was word of mouth. So being a good business owner, you only had your reputation. You only have your reputation and how fast you can deliver or how well your product is. So, like you said, prepare. So if you see and analyze your business and you see any weak spots that you can identify, start with that. And working with Andrew and reading his manual, his book, his business manual that he created could maybe and just put you right where you need to be for 2020 and beyond as well. So, Andrew, let's give everybody your contact information. I think it would be a great idea for people to start reaching out to you. And I know you're already busy. I mean, the man said he's going globally, right, guys? So, catch him now while he's still on the East Coast and still available. All right. Go ahead, share your information.
Please feel free to reach out to me. Definitely, I'm on LinkedIn. Like to connect with people. You can learn a little bit more about me. I can learn a little bit more about you. Facebook, Twitter a little bit, Instagram, and feel free to email me, andrew@smallbusinesslikeapro.com. And my website is www.smallbusinesslikeapro.com. And one place that you can get more exposure, learn things is on my YouTube channel. I think we didn't get a chance to talk about my Power Breakfast events.
Yes.
But for the last 9 years, I've been doing Power Breakfast events for entrepreneurs, business owners, and organizational leaders. And in these events, we bring in business thought leaders to share best practices and expertise that many small business owners don't usually get access to that level of expertise, and try and break it down into a way that they can take away something that they can implement immediately within their business. And through the Power Breakfast over the years, it's led to tens of millions of dollars in increased revenues for businesses and tens of millions of dollars in financing as well, through connections, through relationships. So it's been a great experience for me, as well as being able to create value for a lot of other people.
Absolutely. Yeah, we didn't even discuss that. So wow, because I attended one of the events at Equal Space, which is another great small business here in Newark. And the gentleman, I want to go on the line and say he was a billionaire, or he was handling billions of dollars hedge fund, African-American man. The name escapes me. But I wrote down some super powerful notes from that event, and I implemented them immediately. And that gentleman was very powerful. So it's a great title, The Power Breakfast, because you come, you nosh on some little croissants and muffins and juice and coffee and teas and such. But what you take away from that, I mean, having access to people that are trading billions of dollars in money or hedge funding or products. I mean, I wouldn't have access to those type of individuals on a regular basis. And, plugging into Andrew's network altogether just gives me leverage of information, for myself and my business as well. So, I strongly recommend that if first of all, I strongly recommend you follow him, attempt to get a one-on-one with him, purchase the book via Kindle, Audible, or soft copy. And really just start planning out your next phases. I think you owe it to yourself, the same way people take their babies and like, oh, I want to get them ready for college, or I want to go to private school, charter school, whatever your decisions are for rearing your child, right? You have a strategy for that. So in the same way, you should definitely have a strategy for your business, that you are stretching your mind and stretching yourself in a way that you see beyond your business. And I think that's kind of what Andrew's overall theme is. There's phases. You're the one creating it, so you got to be the one in the studio, painting the brush on the art and everything, but then you go outside of it to see how it's operating. You kind of ascend from being involved in the day-to-days so you can oversee and manage and guide it to the next level of your plan. So I strongly suggest that you guys reach out to Andrew because right now with economic boom, they have the opportunity zones coming up in certain markets, particularly throughout the East Coast. So I think it's critical that right now that businesses start to leverage a lot of the attention that's being put on them by being prepared. And prepared means, the fundamentals that Andrew can help you with if you're not familiar with, but business planning, financial planning, balance sheets, marketing strategies, right? Because people put things on social media all the time, but is it effective? Is it going to reach the market that you need? Is it, there's things as a market, but then we got to figure out what is your target market. And your target market for today may not be the same market that you want to reach in 2020. So we really got to be mindful and strategize. And I think Andrew is a superior person that can definitely aid you with that. I really think now is the time that, Andrew, repeat your information, at least the best contact information via email or even a phone number. If you guys don't pick it up, you can contact me. I'll definitely connect the two. But let's just give everyone your contact information one more time.
Okay, great. My contact information is andrew@smallbusinesslikeapro.com. You can also connect with me on LinkedIn, Andrew Frazier CFA, and you'll go straight to me. And through my website. So, definitely feel free to reach out. I love talking to people, learning about what they're doing and trying to help them be more successful.
That's it. He genuinely means it, guys. So please reach out to him. Andrew, it has been a pleasure having you today. Hopefully you guys, the Rosebuds, have picked up some great information. If nothing else, any one of my network friends is your friends or your Rosebud connection. So please reach out to him. And thank you so much, Andrew, for coming out. It's been an awesome pleasure. Great to see you again.
Thank you so much.
All right.
Appreciate it. Okay.
Hello, guys. So, the first half of the show was so amazing. We had an awesome guest, Mr. Andrew Frazier. I'm telling you, I've known him for a while now, and I feel like I'm going to know him for the rest of my life. He's an awesome gentleman, great family man, great dad, great husband. His wife is a powerhouse in the city as well. So, just an awesome person. So I encourage you guys. I want to see everyone win. I want everyone to be successful. And, success comes with preparedness. And that's what, having Mr. Frazier on the show was totally, totally all about. So make sure you contact him. So moving along, one of the things that has been super, super getting a lot of attention throughout Newark and nationwide is this concept of land banking, right? So land banking. Governor Murphy and Mayor Ras Baraka have implemented the land banking ordinances and laws and rules and regulations, legislation, correction, in Newark specifically. And a lot of people are super excited about it. A lot of people don't know how to feel, and a lot of people are against it, right? Like anything that's launched, let's face it, right? You got three sides of the coin. And one of the things that I wanted to do, considering that, this is also a show about real estate, I wanted to kind of go over the details about land banking and just kind of give some generic information about it. I think it's important that before we love, hate, or are indifferent about something is that we do a little bit of educational research, right? Because one of the things I always tell in all of my workshops and classes, I tell people all the time, trust but verify, right? That's simple. Trust but verify. So we trust that the land bank is going to be an awesome thing for our community, but we just want to verify it, right? And verification comes through research and development. So I have some frequently asked questions. I did a small poll, spoke to a few other rosebuds, and spoke to some persons in the community, and really got a little poll of about 13 questions that were on people's minds. So number one, what is a land bank, right? So a land bank is pretty much a government entity or nonprofit corporations that focus on the conversion of vacant, abandoned, and tax delinquent properties and convert them into a productive use, right? So these properties can be grouped together as problem properties because they destabilize neighborhoods, create fire, safety, community hazards, drive down values, drain local tax dollars, and these properties are also on the private market that have been rejected by the private market. So land banks, in essence, are a direct response to growing a trend of vacancy and abandonment, created strategically to acquire problem properties and convert these liabilities into assets. In short, land banks are intended to acquire title to these properties, these problem properties, eliminate the liabilities, and transfer properties to new responsible owners in a transparent manner that results in outcomes consistent with the community-based plans. That's what a land bank is. Now, we didn't say it's good or bad. That's just what a land bank does, right? So most land banks have special powers that enable them to undertake these activities more effectively and efficiently than other public or nonprofit entities. When eloquently executed, land bank can resolve in some of the toughest barriers pertaining to land use and productive use. So help unlocking the value of problem properties and converting them to assets is a true revitalization. So I want to stay right there because when you're talking about land banks, other cities have done them, guys, and we'll get to that as one of the questions as well. But other cities have and are doing them successfully. And like anything that is new, we have to go through the process, take the time out, see how it works, and try it, right? Because can we agree that 50 years of blight, does anybody in that's watching have another 50 years to see it turn around? Probably not. You want to see some results now. For all the homeowners or property owners out there now, you want to see results now. So land banking is a way to expedite decade-long issues in blighted communities and try to put the properties and put the solutions on a faster track than one buyer at a time. So that's one of the things that you're going to leverage with land banking. So number two, how are the land banks created? So land banks are created typically by with public entities by a local ordinance pursuant to authority provided in state enabling legislation. So that's exactly how it was created. As I discussed, the Governor Phil Murphy, Lieutenant Governor Sheila Oliver, Honorable Mayor Raj J. Baraka got together amongst, not to leave anybody else out. I'm sure there were other politicians that were involved in the process. However, those were the three that came together that signed off on the legislation to allow a land bank to be created, particularly in the city of Newark. So these programs can be developed with existing agencies such as redevelopment authorities, housing departments, or planning departments. Okay, so that's how they're created. I attended an info session with the city of Newark regarding the city of Newark's land bank. And they were very transparent that they're still in the beginning stages and they're welcoming community input. They're welcoming different strategies and ideas that professionals and community liaisons may want to inject. And some of the overwhelming trends, just to talk about it for a second, some of the overwhelming conversation in that particular room was how do we prevent investors from outbidding or consuming majority of the properties from regular buyers and regular people, regular homeowners. And some of the strategies that were suggested were to allow, owner occupied first priority for a specific period of time. And then if the property didn't go to those particular individuals during that time period, then they would open it up to investors. So, I mean, there are strategies to keep it inclusionary for everyone. And for those that may not have $1 million purse to come in and buy a bunch of property, you don't want to get in competition with them. So there may be some properties that are earmarked specifically for community residents. Maybe some properties that could be earmarked for persons that already own on that particular block. I know in the city of Camden, this is not a land bank thing, but in the city of Camden, while they were in the process of selling off lots of land, the first people that had access to purchase them were persons that have homes directly next to the lot, which I thought was pretty brilliant. Because chances are, the person that lives next to a vacant lot or vacant property, they probably sweep it up. They probably cut the grass, because they take pride in their home. And if it's directly next to you, sometimes you go above and beyond to keep the area clean and beautified, even though it's abandoned or even though it might be vacant. I know there are a lot of homeowners that were in the city of Newark meeting about land banking that talked about them maintaining these vacant property for years, and they would like the opportunity to buy them. So obviously, they're going to listen and take heed, guys. So anywho, so moving on. Number 3, how many land banks are operating throughout the country? And I thought this was critical. So I mentioned Detroit. Pittsburgh has a land bank as well. So right now, based on the knowledge and experience within my field of practice, I kind of did a research that there are about 170 land banks and land banking programs in operation throughout the country. And this was like as of January 2018. So maybe 171 now that we have Newark, right? So Newark is not trying something absolutely brand new. They're actually being very, very strategic with taking away and learning from the other cities what works and what doesn't work so that they could be the most effective and most efficient in the shortest period of time. Could we agree the best way to learn from to how to be successful in something is from someone who's already mastered it or have already gone through some of the ups and downs and challenges of it? So, like I mentioned, Newark, I know for a fact is, spoken to representatives in Detroit specifically to iron out some of the community concerns, because all communities would have the same concern. When you're talking about banking up property, acquiring property, I mean, some people were concerned that their home was going to be taken, but it doesn't work like that. So, educating yourself, coming to information sessions, doing your own research will put you at ease, okay? And another thing, so like I said, states of Michigan, Ohio, New York, and they currently have the greatest number of land banks. For a national inventory of the land banks, you can look online. They have a land bank headquarter. It's an interactive map that I located online that you could have access to. If you want to call other cities to find out how things work, please do. This is not a scary thing. It's only scary because it's new and we don't understand it. But I'm sure with the right time and the right process and a proper planning, anything can be executed eloquently, and really have the highest and best benefit for the community. Because we can all agree that however we get there, our overall goal is to turn all of this blight into something beautiful, all of these liabilities into assets, you know? So, number 4, how does land banking work? So land banks are designated to or designed to acquire and maintain problem properties and then transfer them to responsible ownership and productive use in accordance with the bylaws of the land use goals, priorities, and creating more efficient and effective systems to eliminate blight. So some of the following ways different statutes have the following powers and grant powers with legislation is obtain property at low or no cost through the tax foreclosure process, hold land tax-free. They would also clear the title and extinguish back taxes. You can possibly lease properties for temporary uses and negotiate sales based not only on the highest and best bid, but also the outcome that will mostly and closely align with the community needs, such as workforce housing, grocery stores, expanded recreational space. I know the land banking could have a huge impact on our residents without addresses in Newark alone, because that population is growing. So I know the land bank could directly have an awesome impact with creating temporary sheltering and or permanent sheltering for a lot of the individuals that are living on the streets and living in subpar conditions with families. I mean, I'm on the board of the City of Newark Homeless Coalition, and right now, you know, as of last year, we had about 2,500 people without addresses, and that's a big issue. And the saddest part about it all is that 800 of them are children that attend the City of Newark public schools. So when you're talking about 800 children that are without addresses, could we agree that any solution that could lead to offering them a normal life of housing, a normal life of their own bedroom, and, you know, just a private home life, it's worth a try, guys, okay? So, you know, I also want to stress that land bank is not a silver bullet. It's not going to be the solution for blight. However, through the land banks, there's unique designs and unique strategies that will help eliminate the problem, okay, or absorb a lot of the blight. Obviously, it's layered effect of things, but, you know, smart planning and community development and effective tax collection and enforcement of the policies could really turn this ship around. So let's move forward. So number 5. Aren't land banks competing with the private market with an unfair advantage? No, not at all. Because, in fact, land bank is a direct response to growing inventory of problem properties that the private market has altogether rejected. So in the City of Newark specifically, a lot of the blighted properties, guys, I'm telling you, are not owned by the City of Newark. A lot of those blighted properties are bank owned. A lot of those blighted properties are just abandoned by homeowners. A lot of those blighted properties, the homeowners or property owners have passed on or are now in senior care facilities and may not have any next of kin, or in some cases, the families have moved out of the city, and when their loved one dies, they inherit it. They don't know what to do with it. A lot of them are underwater with mortgage. Let's face it, the mortgage crisis of 2006 to 2008 and 9 and still going has accelerated the blight in specifically Essex County, Ocean County, Bergen County, Camden County, and the state of New Jersey alone. And that's with, predatory lending and all that stuff. So we're not going to talk about that today, but let's just talk about the key factors that have gotten us to this point. Okay, it's not just an individualized thing. Yes, the City of Newark probably owns 2,000 of these properties, but they only get these properties through tax foreclosures because people abandon the properties altogether, or they're not allowed to, or they lost their income, or they're not able to pay their taxes. I know a lot of seniors, unfortunately, lose their homes as well because the taxes, and they're on a fixed income, and and sometimes they slip through the cracks, unfortunately. So hopefully land banking is going to be a slice of the solution, right? So getting back to number 5, aren't land banks competing with private markets? Not necessarily. So most vacant and abandoned properties have serious legal and financial barriers that detract private investors. Because if the house is now the house has been vacant for years and it's been vandalized or maybe caught a fire, whatever. Now the house is worth $150,000, but Bank of America still has a mortgage for $300,000. It makes it challenging to even buy the property. So, there are other factors that cause certain properties to not even be desirable for private investors at all, or homeowners, because they just can't unpack the issues or things that are encumbering the property itself. So that's not a direct competition, and it's not an unfair advantage. To be honest, many properties are tax foreclosed and accumulated years of back taxes, which sometimes strangle communities and strangle local government from being able to perform, offer raises, fix sidewalks, add extra police force or extra firefighter force. So by not receiving those tax revenues, it has a direct impact on the day-to-day operations in our community. So we want to be able to put the properties back on a tax roll in a responsible way and have a lot of people go from tenant to landlord. This is a great way to go from tenant to landlord. You guys know I preach about this all the time. So moving forward, let's see. When does it make sense to use land banking, right? Because people are like, is land banking ready for Newark? Is this a necessary thing for the city of Newark to even consider? But let's face it, right? Some common triggers for creating a land banking include, it's simple. Number 1, a large inventory of vacant and abandoned properties. Does Newark have that? Check. Properties with little to no market value. Check. Properties with delinquent taxes in excess of fair market value. Check. We also have properties with title problems. Like I said, when people pass away, you can't find them. You have inflexible policies that dictate what's going on with the property, denying local strategies, and you have speculation and uncertainty in the marketplace, right? So these are some of the factors that trigger the idea of land banking being a huge opportunity to turn a city around. So what are we going to do? We're going to finish up with this land banking topic for the next episode. But guys, if you need more information, please reach out to me. You can contact me at 201-839-6799. I am taking one-on-one appointments and phone calls and group things. I have some great opportunities coming up. We're doing a tour in Detroit on September 10th, and you're more than welcome to join. It's going to be from September 10th to September 15th. And we're going to Detroit because they have 70,000 properties in their land bank, starting at $1,000. I've already bought one, so we'll talk about that in another episode. But anybody interested in coming on that tour to see land banking and see properties in Detroit and investing in different markets, please call me, 201-839-6799. And guys, this has been another episode of the Rose Mosley Show. Thank you for watching. And as always, Rosebuds, when you know, you grow.